Welcome back. Ooh, that was a bit rough. Welcome back to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. It is now August, when you're listening to this, August 20-something. No, not even. August 17th. And I accidentally did the cinnamon challenge. I was getting my morning coffee. And by morning coffee, I mean maybe a couple times a week I'll have a coffee in the morning. And by making a coffee, I don't think I said making a coffee, but whatever. By making a coffee, I mean I get the bottled cold brew. I've luckily been able to find the only brand that does not taste like you're drinking plastic. Like, I feel like most of the bottled iced coffees that I've tried, no offense to those companies, I will not say your name, Starbucks, a company I enjoy in every other aspect. Their bottled cold brews, or not even cold brews, iced coffees taste like plastic bottle. And I get it. Like, it is in a plastic bottle. It comes in a plastic bottle. So I'd imagine, there's really not so much they can do. Unless they want to go more eco-friendly and do like a glass bottle. I think that would be fun, and they should look into that. But I bet that's expensive. Regardless, I'm tasting plastic bottle, except for the brand that I buy now, which I will say it's I don't know how to pronounce it. It's STOK, Stock, Stoke. There's I think a dash over the O. Stoke. The thing with the English language, and I have gone into this before, I don't really understand how there can be two words spelled completely differently that sound exactly the same, that mean completely different things. I won't get into it, but like rose and rose. A rose can be a flower. A rose can be you were horizontal and you're now vertical. Makes no sense. Now, I don't know if anyone remembers, but last time I was recording, I was probably recording on this day. It was piss-ass raining. The rain was falling down. It wasn't necessarily cold, but it was like pouring rain. And I loved it. I'm a big proponent for fall weather in the summer, especially like kind of intermittently, because the heat can get a bit much. So I was really excited to have some fall weather, and I essentially made it a fall-themed episode last time because it seemed like it was going to be fall. Like it felt like, okay, fall has sprung. I guess if spring has sprung, spring's kind of the opposite of fall. So fall has fallen. Well, summer came back with a vengeance because it has never been hotter than it's been this week. I don't know at what point I became a meteorologist or started doing a weather podcast, but I usually open up with the weather, and my report for today is I have sweat everywhere. Everywhere. And it's making me nervous because I'm trying to remember back to last year. And my favorite thing to do in the fall is to wear sweatpants. I haven't worn sweatpants in so long. I want to wear my sweatpants, and I want to wear a hoodie, and I want to wear my hat, and I want to not sweat while doing that. And I'm thinking back to last year, and I'm pretty sure I was still having swamp ass in October, and I can't have that again. I can't. I don't want that. If I wanted that, I would move to, I don't know, Florida. I feel like they probably don't have a lot of like cold weather. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But back to the cinnamon challenge. I was pouring my plastic bottle free tasting cold brew into a mug because I still want the sort of aesthetic of drinking coffee. But because like, what are you gonna put it in a glass? It doesn't look as classy. So I put it in a mug. And then I thought, you know what? Let's just put some cinnamon. Why not? Why not just put some cinnamon? Why not? I've been meaning to get, I have to get pumpkin spice, what's that called? I remember last time on the podcast, I was trying to order pumpkin spice, syrup. I haven't done that yet, but I'll settle for just the pumpkin spice, like, what is it called? Oh my God. seasoning. Like, not spice. Like, I guess spice was in the word all along. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, the packet of the flavor mix? I don't know what to call it. It's not, can seasoning be, yeah, I guess seasoning. I don't know. In the baking aisle. You know what I'm talking about. Actually, there's no you, because as I like to remind everyone once every episode, no one listens to this. I get it. No one asked for this. I'm talking to no one. I fully understand. But for kicks and giggles, let's pretend there's people listening, and I'm going to pretend that I'm talking to them. So you know what I'm talking about when I say pumpkin spice seasoning. But I didn't have any of that, so I settled just for cinnamon. And you know the spices that have the lid that's like half open, like you could go in with a spoon, and then half the little dots that it slowly comes out? I guess wasn't looking at what side I had opened, thinking I had opened the sprinkle side, had actually opened the gaping hole side. I don't know what to call that one. And it dumped into my coffee. And I thought, you know what, that's fine, extra cinnamon, that's never hurt anybody. Well, then I remembered it actually has hurt people, because the cinnamon challenge from about 10 years ago, from what I heard, from my poor memory of 10 years ago, was like causing some damage. Because you think, and for anyone that doesn't know, the cinnamon challenge is where you get a spoonful of cinnamon and just eat it. Sounds simple enough. I think I could be a person that if someone told me to do that without really thinking of the consequences, I'd be like, sure, easy, like that's not challenging. It's cinnamon. I used to sprinkle cinnamon on my Starbucks drinks to make, like when I was getting like the steamed milk or whatever when I was younger, I would just sprinkle it to make it look like it was, I was fancy and all of that. So I'd be like, sure, cinnamon challenge. But I guess when you eat cinnamon in high amounts, like it clumps together as opposed to like melts really quickly, or dissolves, I guess would be the word. So what happens is it all gets into a big clump, doesn't dissolve, and then you're choking on cinnamon. So luckily I had the forethought to like maybe, because I'm telling you, it was like maybe half an inch of cinnamon at the top of my iced coffee, which I did put in a mug. Oh, I said that already. Yeah, anyway, just so everyone knows. In fact, it's a Christmas mug filled with iced coffee with some cinnamon on top. So it's like fall, summer, and winter came together. I'm nothing if not a person of unity, of different layers. I'm like an ogre or an onion. But regardless, the unfortunate part is because it is an iced coffee, the cinnamon is not dissolving, so it's just kind of sitting as a layer on top of my coffee. So if I do choke, admits like in the middle of this podcast, I will. I don't think I will. I don't think there's enough cinnamon. But like I was scared to put it down the drain because again, it doesn't really dissolve, and I don't want the drains to get like clumpy, and then the poor fish are like, what is this? And then we free the turtles or save the turtles. I got to be honest. I might have admitted this before. When the whole straw thing was happening a couple years ago, where like we started this idea that like plastic straws were bad and like we needed to get rid of them, which I'm not saying that they aren't. That really wasn't a thought until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, at least in my brain, in my part of the world. The argument, one of the big arguments is like not using paper or not using plastic straws is like saving the turtles. I thought that meant that we were making straws out of turtles, specifically out of turtle shells. I was like, who knew all of this time that the plastic straws are actually turtles? I was very confused. Now, I have since learned that it's because the way that the plastic straws aren't being disposed of properly and they're ending up in the ocean. And then the turtles, I would assume sea turtles, if we're talking about the ocean, are eating them and choking. Which makes a bit more sense than the whole, plastic straws are made out of turtle shells, because if that was the case, they wouldn't be plastic straws, they would be turtle shell straws. Although, what I'm a little confused on is I feel like the plastic straws are not like you know how much plastic is being used? Like, the straws were like the smallest percent of like plastic. They're like, oh, but that's probably makes them easier to choke. Okay, never mind. I'm done. Thought erased. Yeah. No, you're right. And I don't mind a paper straw. It does dissolve. Like, they have to figure that out. Like, we got to get the scientists. I'm sure they're really busy and we have bigger fish to fry, but we got to get the scientists to kind of figure out if they could put maybe some sort of like a solvent or like a sheen or like a gloss or something on a glaze on the paper straws so that it doesn't like hit your ice cubes and like immediately. Because there's nothing worse than when you're not done drinking your drink yet, and then you pull out the straw and it's just like flat, and then the bottom part has started to like curl over or curl up, I guess. I don't know. I just there's got to be another method. Also, something that I was thinking from the accidental iced coffee cinnamon challenge debacle was I would like to own a patent. And what made me think of this was, as I was talking about before, the lid on the spices with the half gaping hole and the half sprinkle section. I bet that's patented. I'm going to Google it. I bet it is. Spice lid with sprinkle and opening. Okay, let's see. Okay, what is the term for this? Shaking and sprinkling, scooping and pouring. What is the best container? Okay, patent. I would just like one. Oh, here we go. Spice jar and associated. Oh, patents.google.com. Get me on that. Google Patents. Okay, anyway, I can't find it. But apparently Google has a whole database of all these different patents, and I would like to join the ranks. So what can I patent? I wonder if that costs money to do. Do you get money or do you lose money from having a patent? I also feel like I've said that word so much in the last 5 minutes that I'm not really like it. You know when you say a word too much and it doesn't become a word anymore? Like, I once said garage like 10 different times in 30 seconds, and it was like, what am I even saying? Let's all try it. Ready? Garage, 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 garage. Like, you start hearing the words for as like just a collection of sounds as opposed to like a full word. And I think that is the key to unlocking the 90% of our brains that we apparently don't use. Someone told me that once, or not someone, like I read it in like a textbook or something, which you never know, but apparently we only use like 10% of our brains. It's like, what? So if someone thinks like I'm dumb, what if the 10% of my brain that I'm using is like the dumb part? Like, what if the other 90% is like I'm Einstein? Or if we just picked another 10%, like another section, like a different collection of brain folds, like if I would be like smarter. Okay, wait, maybe it's we only use 10% of our brain at a time. That makes sense. The brain is just powerful. It's a powerful thing. It is the mitochondria of the cell, which is the powerhouse of the cell, or whatever saying that was. Anyway, as has been the theme in the last few episodes, summer is winding down. kind of. I think we still technically have about like a month more of summer, but then I feel like once September hits, like it's almost sad. It's like summer, just give it up, you know? Like you're trying a bit too hard. It's basically like the first 3 weeks of September are like all of January to March, where Christmas is over or the holidays are over, but it's still like technically winter, but it doesn't really feel like winter, and it's kind of like just sort of quiet and cold, I guess depending on where you live, and like nothing is happening. I'm a firm believer that January to March it's the worst. It's literally the worst. There's like nothing happens. It's like all the fake holidays, like Valentine's Day, and I can't think of anything else, but you know what I mean. Well, I guess like after New Year's, it's kind of done. But as fall is winding down, I have a list of summer things that I have not tried yet at all the fast food restaurants that I would like to get to. And I would like to share that list publicly. First, the s'mores. What am I, from France? The s'mores, not McFlurry, what's it called? The s'mores blizzard. I have not yet tried the s'mores blizzard. I would like to. And my thing is I'll see signs for stuff. I'm like, oh, I have to get that. And then I'll kind of forget. And then it'll be like 3 months to 2 years later. And I'm like, oh, I have to try that. And I Google it, and it was apparently like limited edition. Limited edition is my least favorite phrase. It's like, why can't you just make it a year-round edition? You know, it's like the same reason why I screenshot everything, because I'm scared I'm not going to be able to find it again. And then I have 40,000 pictures, and I go to take a picture, and my phone's like, not going to happen. Oh, also, quick interruption, PSA. I think we're coming up on the time that Apple would release a new iPhone. So you better bet your bottom dollar that your phone's going to start glitching, and you're not going to be able to like send a text. Your email is going to be all messed up. Your iMessage will turn off randomly. But don't worry, we just have to make it to October. Once you make it to October and they realize that you have not purchased the new phone, they give you a bit of a break. I swear, there was one time where like I couldn't take a picture. There was like a glare or something, it almost looked like there was a speck in my camera from late August to like the very beginning of October, around when, like the 2 weeks before and after the new iPhone came out. And then I waited them out, and then it was fine. You just have to wait them out. We have no choice. Or just give in. I'm actually proud of myself. I'm like 4, maybe even, no, not 5. 12, 35. I'm like 3 or 4 iPhones behind. And my phone has been cracked for over a year. And I've kept it. And there's no sign of slowing down. For a while, I was holding on to my home button for dear life. I had the 8 or whatever, the last iPhone to have a home button. I had that for like up until like a year or 2 ago. No, probably closer to 2 years. So that's called perseverance. Look it up. One sec. I'm just going to take a sip of my cinnamon challenge coffee. No plastic taste in sight. Or I guess no plastic taste in taste. Okay, anyway, back to the things that I have to have before the summer ends. We've established the s'mores McFlurry. Next. Now this one is kind of confusing because it is actually a fall thing, but I have to get the pumpkin spice donuts from Krispy Kreme. Now, why this is in the summer list is because I mentioned this last week, but Krispy Kreme puts out their pumpkin spice donuts like either end of July or early August, and then they're gone by September. Not gone and then they come back. Not like they're here as a test and then they come back in October. They're gone. Do not exist. So I have to get that, and I missed them last year, so I can't let that happen twice. What else is on my list? Let me check. I did actually write a list. Oh, I would like to try the caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino. We'll maybe talk about Starbucks in a positive lens for once this episode. I would like to try that. That I've had many times before. I wish I could say that I wanted to try the s'mores oh no, my God! I think I just want a McFlurry. The s'mores frappuccino, but that doesn't exist anymore. So, also add it to the list. I need to get a box of the s'mores cereal. I have not had that this year. So, yeah. I think that's it. Let me go down. Sorry, not it for the show. Don't worry. We still got about 10 more minutes of nonsense before I let you go. But I think that's it for my list that I can think of. I'm just going through all the fast food chains. No. Cool. I really feel like doing this podcast where, not to brag, if you can't tell, I don't really plan anything. It really it highlights what I care about, because when I'm left with nothing else to speak of, I always go to some sort of fast food, something or other, the weather, complaining, and how I can be rich and or gain some sort of notoriety. So it's good to know that those are the things that are truly important to me. I don't know that I necessarily, if you had asked me a couple years ago to write down what was important to me, I don't know that I would have said those 4 things. But, I mean, if the shoe fits, when you're left to your own devices, talking into a phone that's cracked, an audio file that you're going to eventually upload onto the internet for zeros of people to listen to. It's like, you got to do what you got to do. Swim or sink. Fight or flight. I do want to do a follow-up about the whole 10% brain thing. 10% of your brain. Let's see here. It's a myth. The 10% of the brain myth, this is just from Wikipedia. I would cite the source, but it's literally, I typed in 10% of your brain on Google, and it was the first thing that popped up in that little box. I always appreciate that it just says it right up at the top. You don't have to click anything. The 10% of the brain, but the problem, not again, because I haven't said this yet, but the problem with the box is sometimes it cuts off mid-sentence, and then you have to go and find the article that it came from, because it doesn't always make it easily accessible. Anyway, the 10% of the brain myth states that humans generally use only 1/10 of their brains. Brains as in we have multiple brains, or brains as in all of us together accumulate brains. It has been misattributed to many famous scientists and historical figures, notably Albert Einstein. Okay, if I knew what misattributed to, people were lying on Einstein's name, or did Albert Einstein, make a mistake? 1/10 of their, is 10% 1/10? Oh yeah. Oops. Okay, wait. I'm gonna Google, was Einstein ever wrong? Because all we hear about is, Einstein is a genius, you're an Einstein, baby Einstein, little Einsteins. We're going on a trip on our favorite rocket ship, soaring through the sky, the little Einsteins. From errors in the various proofs, again, I just typed in, if we wanted to do this at home, I typed in, was Einstein ever wrong? And I spelled wrong with an H as opposed to a G, and I believe I spelled Einstein wrong. It still popped up, thank God. And the box at the top, who I think at this point is my co-host. I have a co-host, and it's the quick result search of Google. And it says, from errors in the various proofs of E equals MC squared, Now, if I was uneducated, I might say E equals MC2. That was a pitfall that I have avoided. So from errors in that to failing to consider seminal experiments and even just basic mathematical mistakes, Einstein had his share of slip-ups. Well, you know what? I am humbled. Einstein was wrong. No one was more aware of this than the man himself. Well, that's true because literally no one else on the planet has ever talked about him being wrong ever. Oh, I like this question. Not that I want to bring Einstein down or like bring shame to the Einstein name or the Einstein dynasty. I just feel like he set like the bar so high that like, okay, let's be realistic about the situation. He's setting unrealistic brain standards. Einstein later called the cosmological constant the greatest blunder of his career. Now, if I was smart enough to understand the dumbest parts of Einstein's life, work, and research, I could tell you what that means. Unfortunately, I cannot, because I don't know what the cosmological... Is it like when you go to cosmetology school? Or is it like the cosmos, like the stars? The cosmological constant, the greatest blunder. Of course he wouldn't say, I mistake, like a mistake, or I screwed up. No, I did a great blunder. Yikes, Einstein. Yikes. Okay, so from what I'm getting from, again, just whatever pops up on Google, he, like, people would share, like, their ideas, and he was like, yeah, did I think of that? And they're like, no, I did. He's like, well, then let's discard that. Like, let's not put that into account. Now, should we? So he's kind of rude. I mean, I get it. But did Einstein know he was Einstein? You know what I mean? Like, did Einstein at his, like, is this only like in retrospect, we're like, whoa, that Einstein dude, you know, Birdie over there killed it? Or did he know, like, he was crushing it? He refused to accept quantum mechanics as a fundamental theory of nature. If I had a penny for every time I did that, I would have no greater or fewer dollars than I already have in the bank. I'm going to be completely honest with you. At this point, I don't think I could tell you, like, what Einstein, like, what his, like, claim to fame was. Like, he wasn't the light bulb, was he? Albert Einstein. Yeah, he was the greatest and most infamous scientist of all time. He only died in 1955 in New Jersey. What? Oh, I thought he was like going to business conferences with Mozart. That's like not that long ago, and he died in New Jersey. That's okay. He was 76. What the heck? So, like, he could have, like, went to Walmart. What year was Walmart? Walmart started when? Ah, shoot. 1962. When did Target start? Okay, 1960. Dude, McDonald's started in 1955. Einstein could have had a Big Mac. That's actually nuts. I have a similar thought about Picasso. Is that his name? Pecan Pie Picasso. He like died in the 70s. Not that long ago. It's quite wild. Actually, yeah, maybe we could have a segment every week where I not unleash, but I like do a timeline of like all these famous people, because like Mozart and Bach, they're like long gone. like 1500s, 1600s, which I don't know if that's like hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago. I think hundreds. Yeah, because I guess the Earth is only like 2,000 years old. Okay, but anyway, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Are we coming up on a long weekend? I don't think so. Almost Labor Day. But we're going to get there. Brave the heat, the last stretch of heat for summer. Start getting your pumpkins out for Halloween. Your decorations. I think if we all start just dressing for fall, consuming, drinking, eating for fall, decorating for fall, it'll like the earth will be like, okay, fine. In the meantime, you can listen to all 62, I think this is the 62nd episode of Nobody Asked for This podcast. You can find our website, podcast.nobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, where we post basically nothing, but, just follow it anyway. Like, literally, who cares? Like, what? Like, you have nothing to lose. And, yeah, you can listen to us on all, Apple, Spotify, other places, Samsung Audio, Google Play Podcasts, whatever. Because, again, like, why not? Like, literally, what else are you doing, So, I will see you next week. And goodbye and happy fall.